It has been no surprise that Gary has had marriage on the menu as it pertains to Andrea Barnes, but is he actually going to succeed this time? What's good, y'all? It's your guest, Erica Vane, coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another Sistas video. And in this one, we are talking about how Gary is forcing Andi to marry him this season and all of the potential fallout that is going to come from that decision. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so you don't miss out on any of my sisters' content and conversations. If you're not new, welcome back, boo. You know how we do. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, all right? So we have seen Gary already pop the question to Andrea Barnes and her actually accept. And it was during similar tumultuous times. I think the only difference that we're going to see in reference to him doing it now versus doing it previously was that they were actually in some type of situationship prior to, and Andrea was able to sidestep, overstep, completely ignore the fact that this man was already married, the fact that this man is estranged from his kids, the fact that this man is under federal investigation and has been caught lying on numerous occasions, but she still wanted to do it anyway because what? Because I love him. Oh, I just love him. Girl, stop it. Now, in this current state that we find this proposal coming, Andi is actually in a romantic relationship with Jordan. So they're not even together. And yet and still, we're getting Andi going along to get along and agreeing to a marriage that she actually doesn't want to be in. Not because she loves him, but maybe because she is trying to buy time as the FBI continues their investigation, solidifies their case before bringing Gary in. Now, one of the things that I thought about in even thinking about the topic of this video was, what is it about Andi that Gary needs to marry so bad? And the number one reason that's popping up in this particular moment is that he wants her to marry him because he knows the investigation is still going on and he needs to be able to neutralize her. So spouses of criminals or people who are on criminal defense don't have to actually testify against their spouse. So that makes valid sense, right? Back in the day when we got to see the first proposal, Gary only did that as a means to control Andi and to give her a gaslit form of validation within a relationship because it was already rocky ass ground. But this one feels like it's motivated a lot more from Gary protecting himself versus Gary deep feelings for Andi. But with that said, I do think that of all the women that Gary has actually engaged with romantically, Andrea Barnes is at the top of the list regardless of what he says. For whatever reason, Andrea Barnes is the prize in his mind. She is the epitome. And I think Andi walking away, like truly being able to walk away after 5 seasons of not being able to do so and being hooked on Gary and all of his trivial ass, superficial, expensive gifts, agreeing and ignoring and downplaying his lies and settling more often than not, she's able to walk away. And I think that his ego and pride is bruised because of it. For whatever reason, in Gary's mind, having Andi is like winning the prize, is like sitting at the top of the table. His ass is at the top of the heap. Now, don't get me wrong. Andrea Barnes isn't terrible, but she's also not at a place right now in her life where she's 100% the prize, child. Let's be clear. But for a psychotic, borderline, not even borderline, sociopathic character like Gary, this all makes 100% sense. Now, going back into she can't testify if she's actually a spouse, that to me is the motivating factor for pushing her to actually marry him. He's going to intimidate her into doing so. Now, the part that is not as clear, and this is what came up in the synopsis that are to come. So I've already broken down episode 17, 18, and 19 synopses for this season, where they talk about Gary popping up and actually proposing to Andi at Karen's baby shower, and Andi actually goes along with it because she doesn't want to cause a fuss. Even though I'm like, girl, how do you think that you saying yes to Gary in front of all your homegirls who knows that Gary is not gonna cause a fuss? Like, I'm confused. But the T is not cause a fuss for Gary, not send Gary spiraling, not send Gary to a place of violent means, because we're going to see in episode 16, which is coming up because I'm recording this video before 16 comes out, Gary places a gift at Andi's tire, which I think is also going to be like a little bit of a threat, and Andi is actually going to be scared. So I think she's moving more so out of fear, holding the information of Penelope being alive, holding the information of Penelope being a key witness for the FBI, holding the information from Jordan and like navigating that, because I do believe that at some point her keeping this information about Penelope from Jordan is going to push her to break up with him. All of that is what's working and getting Andi to go along to get along. There was a time where I really thought that maybe this was a part of the plan by the FBI, but that doesn't even actually make sense to send another potential victim into the clutches of Gary after they just got Penelope on their side as their key witness, and she has the story of losing her baby after suffering a violent attack by this man. So I don't think that the FBI would put Andi in harm's way. However, Andi, in an attempt of survival, an attempt of trying to, like I said, create space, give additional time for the case to be built, she's going to do this. And so much so that we get to meet a wedding planner in this season, where she's going to actually be planning this wedding, and Andi has to like make decisions with Gary. So before Gary gets up out of here, because there is a video I do have y'all talking about, is Gary going to die this season? Spoiler, I kind of believe that he is, but you have to watch that video for all of my reasons why and all of the clues that you might have missed that point to his reasons why. Before he gets up out of here, before he exits the show, they're going to give us one last hoorah within the Gary and Andi relationship by way of him forcing her to marry him. Now, my question is, are they going to actually make it down the aisle? Because I don't necessarily know if Gary is going to make it in reference to living by the end of this season. I don't know if he's actually going to make it to trial, which makes me wonder if they're going to actually make it down the aisle. If they do, though, Andi stands to inherit all of his assets, and I could totally see that be a story element that allows for her to keep her penthouse in this way. They might actually settle everything out in reference to all the money that Gary has embezzled and stolen from potential investors, and when it all said and done and all the smoke settles and everybody has been paid off, the only other thing left would be the penthouse. And if she actually goes through with marrying Gary, even if it's for a short moment, she would be able to inherit her penthouse and keep her penthouse that way. Now, I've been wanting her to give the damn penthouse back for 2 seasons now, so that's neither here nor there for me in reference to her keeping this penthouse. But do y'all want her to keep this penthouse? And do you think that marrying Gary is an adequate cost for her to pay to keep the penthouse? Now, they could figure out a story in reference to her keeping the penthouse without actually marrying Gary, because she's been in it this long, right? It's in her name and she paid the taxes on it. We got to see that 2 seasons ago. Even though the FBI, when they showed up this time, they did mention, like, we know that your penthouse was purchased with fraudulent funds, so there could be something to go to play with there. But again, that's all up to the writers. Now, the other option is that they don't actually make it down the aisle. What do y'all think it's going to look like in the time that Andi agrees and they start the wedding planning? And like, it seems like Gary is going to try to rush her into actually going through with it so it happens. And again, because I think he don't want her to testify against him, what do y'all think those final moments are going to be like within their engagement? And how is Gary going to be reacting? Is he going to still be trying to sleep with Andi? We opened this season with him jacking off to her underwear in her closet. Yeah, tell me all of your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comment section down below. We know that Gary's going to try to force Andi to marry him. What we don't know is if they're actually going to go through with the physical wedding, and what's going to be the result if so. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. It's your good sis you like to talk TV with, and I'm going to see you in my next Sistas video.